Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome to the second hour of Love Babs Love Talk. The first hour we weren't here, we weren't live. I don't know what we played. I'm thinking we played yesterday's Diaspora Con conversation with Ife and the brothers in on air with us, but I'm not sure because I don't know. But the 10:15 hour, we are very much live. And I'm looking forward to my conversation with the Lieutenant Governor, Lieutenant Governor Susan Bicewicz. I do speak English fairly well. So she's coming on to talk about all things Connecticut and what's happening. And I know, and she's homebound. Happy Easter, happy Passover, happy Ramadan.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm just adjusting because I want you to see my beautiful hand-painted Polish Easter eggs that I always put out for Easter.
Did you get them from somewhere? Did your family make them? Were they passed down?
No, I wish we were that artistic, but we got them when we were in Poland, a lot of them. Some of them are family heirlooms, and some of them I just bought when I went to Broad Street into Little Poland in New Britain.
So, oh, wow.
Yeah, so I wanted to just show everybody because we always bring these out at Easter time.
Oh, those are beautiful. They're very beautiful. They add a pop of color to the table.
Absolutely. And people have been so nice, sending me flowers and nice text messages, and I feel so fortunate because I did not have symptoms. So
okay.
A reminder when you're around somebody who has COVID, like I was around the governor, you can be asymptomatic. If I hadn't taken a test, I wouldn't have known I had COVID. So I feel very fortunate to have had the vaccines, because they work.
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
I've had them. I've been boosted, and I got a call from the Cornell Scott Health Center to say that I could probably get the second booster. I was like, okay.
I love the Cornell Scott Health Center. I got my flu shot there. They're fabulous.
Yes.
And ironically, I was supposed to get my second booster yesterday, but that's good. I'm super immune, and I will be able to hopefully go through the summer without a booster, because I think the recommendation is if you do have a case of COVID, then you have to wait 3 months before you get your booster. Yeah.
Okay, well that might work in your favor then.
Absolutely. We've got our state convention that is coming up for the Democratic nominations for statewide office. There'll be probably about 2,000 people there. So if
Are you excited?
I am excited. And if you got to get COVID, you might as well get it done before you have to be around a lot of people, and then you're protected. So there I am.
Yes. So speaking of convention, what are we going into the convention? What's the attitude? What's the mood?
So I think it's very positive. The governor and I feel like we've been able to do a lot of good things over the past 3 years. If you go back to, oh my goodness, 3 years ago when we took the oath of office, we were looking at a $2 billion deficit. And today we have a $4 billion surplus, one of the best in the country. We've been able to pay down some pension debt. $1.8 billion, which is a good thing. I think we've put our state in sound financial footing so that we can be having a conversation right now about what tax cuts we can give to people in Connecticut, because everybody's facing a lot of inflation, high prices at the gas pump, at the grocery store. So that's why, we have proposed motor vehicle tax cut, property tax cut, and expanding the property tax cut from $200 to $300, which would affect 1 million people in our states.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so we're in
All right.
discussions with the legislature, and by May 4th, hopefully, we'll have figured out, which cuts they support. We were thinking that property tax cuts and motor vehicle tax cuts would be the best because those taxes are so regressive. You live in New Haven, so you know how that is, right?
I do.
Yeah. So our property tax cuts would help 100 people in 103 cities and towns whose mill rates are over 29. Those are the cities and towns where people are paying the most for their car taxes, for their property taxes.
So what do you hear? I mean, are you when you're out there in the streets and you're talking about this, what are you hearing from people? Like what does this resonate well with them? Does it feel like this makes a difference in their practical lives?
So I think people are looking for any kind of relief that they get. The good news is at the gas pump, we were able to cut the gas tax about 25 cents. And in my hometown, I can see it because before the tax cut went into effect, the price of gas was over $4, and now it's under $4. So you see that people want to see relief. So and by the way, tomorrow is the last day for the sales tax
I was going to ask
exemption.
about that.
Yeah.
No, Susan, I always, my children are grown now, so I don't shop for little kids anymore. I don't have to do that. But I always thought that the sales tax thing was closer to the school year. Did I miss something? Like, I thought it was
No,
closer to like September.
you're right. We always have tax-free week that third week in August when
Okay.
moms and dads are out there doing that back to school shopping. We decided to do this week because we thought, okay, we should give people some relief. And a lot of families are shopping for Easter or Passover outfits. They're shopping for shoes and athletic wear for kids who are, going out for the different spring sports and for summer clothes too. And we thought, okay, well, let's do that now because people have to buy clothing and shoes throughout the year. So that's why we came up with that as an extra, bit of relief for families.
Okay. And so do you hear that it helps people? Like, do people feel like, I mean, I,
Oh,
I remember when I was well, not a young mother, when my children were young, and
yeah.
it made a huge difference because my kids were in private school, so they had to wear uniforms. And I held off until that week so that I could buy all the
All
things.
this stuff at once. No, it does. And what we're hearing, and this is the really good part, we are hearing from folks who own retail stores that they have seen the difference because people are deliberately going out this week to take advantage of tax-free week. So retailers see it and families appreciate it.
Wow. I think that's a good idea. So will you keep it twice a year like this? Or is it just because we're in this odd financial crunch period?
Well, because as was mentioning, we have the $4 billion rainy day fund. We thought, given the inflationary pressure and crunch that families were feeling, that it would be something to offer. And we'll see how things go. But we're going to keep the third week in August as the traditional back to school tax free week.
Okay. So that's gonna come back around. Like that's gonna come back around in August.
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
that's good.
Yeah.
Because I don't want parents to be like, wait a minute, I need that. I look forward
Yeah.
to that.
Oh, I know. Absolutely.
So tell
Absolutely.
me about the computing challenge. What is that?
Okay. Well, this is our third year of the Lieutenant Governor's Computing Challenge. And it is a contest or challenge that kids from grades 3 through 12 can participate in. The theme is coding for good. And here's the crux of it, that we need more kids being competent in computing because it's key to everything. Almost every job requires the use of a computer, and it's a skill where there are thousands of jobs open right now. And we wanted to encourage kids, but particularly girls and young women, to study computing and to be competent in computing because it's a way of reducing the pay gap, which, in Connecticut, white women make 81 cents, Black women make 59 cents, and Latina women make 58 cents to the dollar that a white man makes. So if we get more women into STEM fields, right now those fields only have 25% women in them. We can, if we get more women in those jobs, we can reduce the pay gap because those are some of the highest paying jobs. And we noticed that girls, once they hit fifth grade, all of a sudden stop, they feel less confident, they stop excelling in fields like computing and science, they get less confident. So we thought we would put forward this challenge. And so over the past 3 years, we've had thousands of kids participate in it, either individually or in teams. And technical schools, our technical high schools have participated, our public schools all over the state have participated. And we've had kids who are part of Boys and Girls Club, the Y, also participate as well. And Jackson Labs is actually offering some special prizes for kids in Alliance school districts. We have some amazing partners, Infosys, which is a computing company that's in Hartford that's hiring hundreds of young people. They're participating. And our amazing education commissioner, Charlene Russell Tucker, is our partner to help us reach out to schools across the state. So the deadline for kids to participate is April 29th. Please, 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 that's a nice thing to do before the school year ends. And I'll also just say that my computer challenge is in the school year. The governor has a summer computing challenge for kids. So that'll be there for the summer.
Okay. All right. So what do the kids get? Like, give me some idea. What do they win other than accolades from the governor and the lieutenant governor?
Cash prizes,
Whoa.
prizes. Yeah.
We like cash.
Yeah, exactly. We figured that that would be good. And we appreciate Jackson Labs doing that. And by the way, Jackson Labs was one of 5 companies that we announced had joined Paradigm for Parity, which is a pledge that by 2030, half of their corporate executives will be women and half of their board of directors will be women. And the other companies I wanted to mention, because one was Yale New Haven Healthcare, one was Hartford Healthcare, Trinity Healthcare, and Pfizer, along with Jackson Labs, joined in that pledge because we always want to be uplifting women and making sure that we see women in leadership roles.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So now, is this something that you're going to stay steadfast on?
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of conversation about, the workforce is in demand of these kinds of talented folks. And I guess the thinking is the earlier that we could get them interested in this kind of field, the better off we will be as a workforce.
Oh, absolutely. And this is the 3rd year that we announced companies joining the Paradigm for Parity Pledge. The first year, we had 10 companies that included Stanley Black & Decker, CVS Aetna, Synchrony Bank, Eversource, Hubble, Avangrid, So every year I try to convince more big employers in Connecticut to join that because one of the problems is with women in leadership for the biggest companies, the Fortune 500 companies, there are only 5 female CEOs of
Mhm.
Fortune 500 companies. That's just wrong. And if we want to envision women leaders in the public sector and the private sector, we need to be able to see them. And so that's what we're hoping to accomplish. But at the same time, getting companies to recognize that if you want female CEOs, it starts with your entry level employees. You have to be, mentoring them and helping them get to the next level and climb the corporate ladder and see that it's a possibility and understand the needs of female employees.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I think you're absolutely right. It's still hard for me to understand that we only have 5 and that we're still having these conversations. Like, the glass ceiling is still very much with us.
Oh, absolutely. And just look in the legislature, 20, there are 28% women in our state legislature. And look in the United States Congress, in the Senate and in Congress, it's only about 25% women. And I remember back when I was first running for state representative in the 1990s, there was an initiative then that said 50-50 by 2020, right? That we should have 50% women in our legislature, in our Congress by 2020. And here we are, and we went up by a very incremental amount. So,
Mm.
this is the challenge that we have, right?
And what brings women to politics? How do we get more women to politics, Susan? Like, how do we
Oh,
do
one of my
that?
one of my favorite topics. You know how we do that? We say we have to ask women to run because a lot of women don't think about it, whereas men envision themselves as leaders. And this is interesting. I was just reading, psychologically speaking, a lot of men think they're ready. They're overconfident about their abilities, whereas women they underestimate what's necessary to lead, right? So there was a study that said that you had to ask a woman 10 times
Mm,
to run before she would say, yeah, I'll do that. So I always say to people, look, if you see a woman who you think is leading in her community, please ask her to run for town council, city council, alderman, mayor, state representative, state senator, Congress. Ask her to run because she probably hasn't even thought about it, right? And that is something that we all can do to encourage women. And then of course it's get involved in a woman's campaign. And right now, this summer and fall is a great time because there are all kinds of women running for state representatives, state senate. Johanna Hayes and Rosa DeLauro, they're running for Congress. There are people running for probate judge. So get involved in a campaign, volunteer. If you do that for about 10 minutes, somebody's going to be asking you to run for something.
I'm a graduate of the Yale campaign school at Yale, at the campaign school at Yale, and Patty
Fun.
Russo is a good friend of mine, and
Yeah.
and she has been seeing a great number of women wanting to come to the campaign school and taking the course and the 1 day and the 2 day and the signing up to take the longer one, because women are starting to understand that they can get involved at that level, which
That's
is
right.
amazing to me.
And two things about that, Babs. First of all, one of my favorite things to do is Patty will invite me to speak to the students. And
Yes.
I just get on such a high for the whole week that I've done that because I meet these bright, committed women who want to make a difference. And it's so cool because women, I've met women from Nigeria who are running for president of the country. Met women from Ireland or the UK that are running for parliament. So cool, not just people from our state or different states around the country. And I've met women who've gone through that training who've, been elected to mayor or for selectman or the legislature. So she's
Yes,
really,
Christine Gillibrand. It's a bunch of them out there that come through the campaign school.
yeah,
You
for
know.
sure. Eleni Cabro de Gras, who's a state rep, Stephanie Thomas, so many really fabulous women. The other thing I want to say to anybody who's listening to your show that they also train campaign managers and
Yes.
workers. And do you know the governor and I are looking for people for our campaign? I can't tell you how many state rep or state senate candidates that are looking for campaign folks. So go to one of those and then look for a position because now's a really good time to try to get work on a campaign because there's so many
Mhm.
going on both sides of the aisle right now.
Yes, yes, yes. All right, so talk to me about the governor's commitment to domestic violence issues, and what spurred that on. I mean, I in my younger days, I was cross trained in domestic violence support and rape crisis support. So
Mhm.
I know a great deal about both. And I was a kid that grew up in a very violent home. So talk to me about this commitment that the governor is looking to make on behalf of domestic violence issues.
Well, during the pandemic, sadly, we saw a huge uptick in the number of calls to the domestic crises hotline that CCADV runs. It's called Safe Connect. They got 40,000 calls. And
Wow.
yeah, oh, it's just, the pandemic was very stressful. People were home, kids were home, folks had lost jobs. It was just, there was a lot going on. And sadly, even during good times, we have a lot of domestic violence. So, one of the things that the governor wanted to do is to increase funding for the domestic violence agencies. There are 18 of them across the state. Um, and he wanted to increase funding by $18 million in our state budget. And so we've done that also because the federal funding from the Victims of Crime Act or VOCA over the past few years had been going down. So these agencies, in the face of a greater demand for their services, were struggling. So that $18 million provided, fingers crossed, that the legislature supports it, will go to help women and children in crisis. So they'll be able to get hoteling or housing or anything they need in terms of food, transportation, costs around getting set up in a new safe residence. So we're fingers crossed, hoping the legislature will support that. And I think, I haven't talked to a legislator who hasn't said, oh, yes, we need to do that. So
Mhm.
hopefully we'll be able to do that.
So you get support from both sides of the aisle.
Yes, yes, we hope so. We hope so. We hope that this is an issue that, because this is not an issue that only affects one economic class of people. It affects everybody. It affects kids especially. And so part of the money will be going to make sure kids get representation in court and that they have the resources that they need,
Okay.
like mental health counseling and so many other things.
So speaking of the pandemic, which has changed our lives dramatically, how are we doing how are we doing in Connecticut? What is our thinking? Where are we with
Well,
the rest of the
we
world?
are hoping we are hoping COVID is in the rear view mirror at the same time as I am a poster child for. Our positivity rate has gone up to over 6%, but I think that understates how much COVID is out there because I think now home tests are so prevalent that a lot of the cases go unreported. And I should share that. It was kind of a crazy week because we found out that the governor tested positive for COVID. Then I tested positive. Then our state treasurer tested positive, and the attorney general tested positive the day after that because his child was sick, probably from something he picked up at school. So if you have 4 of the 6 constitutional officers with COVID in the same week, I think it tells you that there is community spread. But fortunately, this strain of COVID, combined with our really great vaccination and boosting rate, there are not a lot of people in the hospital, which is a
Hmm.
good thing. I mean, this B variant, I think, has proved to be less virulent. And I'm hoping also now that the weather is beautiful and people are outside more, that's going to decrease the spread. So it is unfortunately, if you look back at what happened with the pandemic in 1920, you had a couple of years of what they call ripples. You
Hmm.
know, there would be sort of lesser versions. So I think we're in a ripple,
Okay.
unfortunately.
And so, and I'm sure businesses are sort of listening carefully and paying attention in ways that they've never paid attention before about numbers and mandates and potential mandates and stuff like that because our restaurants and retail spaces took hits. So what are the restaurants telling you now? How are they feeling now?
I think a lot of restaurants pivoted and did a lot more with takeout or made sure they had outdoor dining spaces. And my hometown of Middletown is kind of like New Haven. So we've already seen the restaurants, put out their tables on the sidewalks and get ready for more outdoor dining.
Mhm.
But I think what I saw until the 5 days where I had to stay home, you know, I was out going to banquet facilities like the AquaTurf because people are back to doing the charitable events, the award ceremonies, and that kind of thing. I went to an event honoring firefighters. There were 500 people at the AquaTurf, and one of the wait staff told me that, finally this month she had 40 hours a week because the banquet facility was back in full swing, doing business. And so I think that restaurants are starting to get stronger. Could they see more? Yes. Dick Blumenthal was announcing more federal funding to help the breweries, which took a hit during the pandemic. So I think we're still coming out of it, and there's still resources available. As a matter of fact, in the next 2 weeks, we'll be announcing more equity match grants for women and women of color-owned businesses
Mhm.
that were struggling from the pandemic. So please, if you're a women-owned business, you will have the opportunity to apply for between $2,500 and $10,000. And it's a grant, it's not a loan. So definitely check it out on the Women's Business Development Council website because there's going to be another opportunity
Oh,
shortly.
that'll be wonderful. I think that's
Yeah.
good.
Mhm.
And we got like a few more minutes, but I know that we've got our first Ukrainian families in Connecticut. And what's that? What is tell me your thoughts on that. I mean, we opened our doors. I mean, Connecticut is pretty good about doing that kind of thing. What are your
Yes,
thoughts on
the
that?
governor was very clear that we wanted to welcome Ukrainian families. I live in Middletown. There have been several families that have moved from the Ukraine. And I will tell you, as a Polish American and as someone who's had relatives who had to live under Soviet rule, that there is tremendous support for the Ukrainian people and for their democracy as they struggle against, this illegal Russian invasion. And the Ukrainians have been putting up this incredible fight. I just read today that the Ukrainians actually destroyed a major piece of the Russian fleet. I mean, they have just been fighting very valiantly against the Russians. And, I think that we can do our part to support the Ukrainian people by welcoming families here. Ukrainians have a lot of characteristics that Poles have, which is a really strong work ethic. And I think we want to welcome them to our state. We have a big Ukrainian population, and I've had the opportunity to meet Ukrainian church leaders and meet Ukrainian Americans around the state who are trying to help their relatives in the Ukraine.
Hmm. Yes. Well, I'm glad Connecticut is stepping up to the plate to do our part to help any way we can. So, you gearing up for election? You ready?
Yes, 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 yes. I am looking forward to it. We've been able to do so much good, I think, for the state, raising the minimum wage. Eventually, it'll be $15 an hour. Our paid family leave program is one of the best in the country, and it was established and up and running on January 1st, and it's been helping more than 21,000 families a month. And as I mentioned before, we've gotten our state on strong fiscal footing. So we're excited about what we've done and looking forward to being able to do more.
Well, you know what? It's always a pleasure having you here. I
Thank
love seeing you run around all over the places, going to the coolest things. I believe you and your husband were somewhere at a beer garden, I don't know,
Oh,
last month or
Micro
so.
in Hamden.
Yes. I was like,
Oh, I
I've
love
never
that
seen you in
place.
jeans. You were cute as you could be. I was like,
Oh my
was that
goodness. Oh my
Lieutenant Governor? Y'all were cute.
Thank you. Thank you. My husband is a cutie pie. So thank you so much. Happy Easter and happy Passover to
You
everybody.
too, my dear. Thank you so much for making time for me today.
Absolutely. Nice to see you,
Nice
Babs.
to see you. I hope you feel better soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Say hi to Chelsea.
I will. Bye now.
Bye-bye. All right, Harry Jones, that's our Friday. This Passover. We are on our way out. Harry, I hope you feel better this weekend. I hope you feel better in the next few minutes. Get well, take it easy. Happy Passover to my Jewish sisters and brothers. Happy Easter to my Christian sisters and brothers. And peaceful, happy Ramadan to my Muslim sisters and brothers. I'll see y'all out here in these streets. Y'all behave. I'll be back on Monday.